I really enjoy how I look in this leather jacket for like no reason at all. So I'm just gonna wear it all the time for no reason at all. Anyway, I'm just gonna share what it was like being a software developer. It's not gonna be a sexy breakdown. It's not even gonna be a particularly detailed breakdown. I don't really remember much about being a software developer, but um, when I was in software development, I would come to work every day, go to my cubicle, and just spend the first half hour of my day looking at my calendar, looking at meetings I've been invited to, meetings that maybe weren't there yesterday that were added today. Look at emails that are critical. There might be emails from the product owner, there might be emails from the customer, project manager, or my peers. Maybe someone's asking for help, and then I'm looking on Skype to see if anyone has messaged me, or Google Hangouts or whatever chatting chatting messages we had, softwares we had back then, and yeah, just keeping an eye on my calendar, just seeing um, what is on my schedule for today. So getting to work early, or not early. I mean, my day would start like 8:30, and spending the first half hour kind of defining what my day is going to look like. Then at 9 o'clock we had the stand up. We followed what was known as Scrum or Agile, and Scrum is just a form of Agile, right? Oh, by the way, I just realized the way I say Agile, I don't know why I say Agile, and that kind of upsets people. I think whatever pronunciation you have is yours, and you know I just tend to be surrounded with people who pronounce it Agile, and that's just how I say it. So Agile, Agile, um, Agile, they're all correct pronunciations. Actually, I just made up Agile. It's not. I've never even heard it. I don't know why I said that. Um, but yeah, so 9 o'clock is the morning stand up, and we do Scrum. So that means that we work in 2 week increments, and we have morning stand ups every day. And then the stand up, I would say, this is Mohammed. I'm going to be working on this today. So I'll talk about what tickets I'm going to be addressing, or who I'm going to be maybe collaborating with if they need help. Yesterday I did this, and do I have any blockers? So you like to say what you did yesterday. It might seem counterproductive because, you know, if I tell you what I'm doing today, then tomorrow, why would I tell you again what I did today? Sometimes you don't get to all the things you said you were going to do. Sometimes you need to help someone unexpectedly. Sometimes you have technical difficulties. Sometimes you're getting drawn into meetings that you maybe weren't expecting and they were still mandatory on you. So that's why you also cover what you did the previous day, even if the previous day you said what you were going to do that day. So you say, what are you going to do today? What did you do yesterday? So sometimes, I would say, yeah, I did everything I said I was going to do yesterday, and I have new things today. And then some of those things kind of carried over, and I'm making my project manager or scrum master aware of it. The way we did Agile was a little bit weird because we had a project manager who was also a scrum master, and that's odd because project management and scrum are totally different. But in this company, like that project manager would be our scrum master, serve as a scrum master, but then also run our projects like a project manager. So they're thinking about scheduling, budgeting, timelines, giving uh, managing the risk register, communicating with stakeholders, stuff like that. So we would do the daily stand up, and then I would begin my day. We had version control like Subversion in place. We uh, had an online. We had a repository where our code was stored, and I would just do like a pull request, see if I could get access to a code base, and then make some changes. It could just be something that and make changes in like the user interface, something like that, or it could be something on the back end. But I was always back end poor or deficient. I was never particularly good. I was never a particularly good developer, to be honest. Right? I have a very specific way of learning where I learn things that I need to know. I think maybe it's sort of like binging or chunking. I don't know how you want to describe it, but the second I don't need any information, I just sort of delete it from my brain. That's why even now I kind of struggle to describe what it was like, but I'm just doing my best. But yeah, I would do pull request, and then work on it for a while. Definitely leverage resources like Reddit or other Microsoft Forums, for example. I would try to go to for help, and then yeah, just try to commit changes and have them signed off by people who are more senior than me. Um, and then just coordinating with other employees, right? Doing tests, and looking at tickets. That was a big part of my job, was going through tickets and seeing did anything that we pushed out, into production bounce back? Is there any security concerns? Are there any accessibility problems? Is there any functionality issues? How can we address those? And are there any trends? Right? Am I seeing any patterns here that maybe need to be escalated? And in every sprint we would have retrospective, so we would look back at our sprint and see, where could we have improved? Were there any issues? For example, are we noticing that maybe when it comes to communication, is there a faster way to communicate, faster way to I guess, escalate certain problems to the correct parties? Are we doing things in a roundabout way? Are we being the most efficient we can be? Are we having too many meetings? Is our customer too involved? Something like that, right? And then we do sprint planning, where we look at, what is the next sprint going to look like? How can we number our tickets in such a way that makes sense, right? We use a Fibonacci sequence, and we grade our tickets based on complexity. Oftentimes, just some employees would do it based on how many hours they thought it would take. So, they would just say, yeah, all these tickets are going to take like 30 something. I'm not even going to pretend I remember the sequence. Like after 13, I just don't even remember. But I know a lot of people try to overpoint and try to put, they would try to make something simple seem like it was massive. And the PM or Scrum Master really wouldn't know. If the team was pulling their leg, they would just point it the way we said so, and look for ways to, we would have sessions where we would go through these tickets and try to break them down. So if something was, more than, honestly, I think like 8 points, they would try to see if we could refine it, right? Is there a way for us to break these tickets down into smaller pieces and deliverables so that it's easier on each person, rather than have something that's large or monolithic and is going to take a lot of effort on the part of the developer. So that is kind of just the worst possible overview I could give. But that's just what it was like. I mean, just meetings, working with other developers, being insulated, not a whole lot of office politics, a lot of collaboration and camaraderie. Very simple. I enjoyed being told what to do. I enjoyed just having tickets assigned to me. I enjoyed, just having a project manager to report to. My job was actually kind of interesting because at that time I was working for, in a way, it was a managed service provider. And we, the project we worked on were not for our company. They were for clients. So, every week I would actually fill out sheets saying, who will be billed for my time. And sometimes you're working on multiple projects. So you might be working on one project enhancing a website for one client, and then another project is enhancing their application interface. And each week you have to kind of dictate, what time did you spend with each client so that they can get billed for your time. And then you're also reporting to your manager, and there's a strange relationship because you might have a program manager who is your boss, but if you're loaned out on 2 projects and you're spending 20 and 20 hours on each project, like you're never going to see your boss. So it was a strange relationship for me at that time in my life, where I have a project manager who's kind of the authority for me at work, but then I have a program manager who is sort of my static boss. Like I'm assigned to them, right? I might be with this project manager for now, but I will still see them as more of my boss, or both project managers I would see as more of my boss than my program manager. So that was definitely an interesting relationship, and it would be strange. Like I would have these monthly check-ins with my boss, and he's like, "How are you doing? Give me progress on your 2 projects, and is there anything I can do to empower you, to help you, invest in you, anything like that?" And I was like, it's so weird because I never see this guy, and when I see him once a month, he's just like, "How can I help you?" And I guess it felt almost like therapy or something, just having him check on me, and he's also asking for updates, and I'm just like, you're at the sponsor level. Like he even sponsored one of the projects that we're on. So I'm like, how do you not know what's going on with the project? But I think it was more exercises for him and I to just communicate. And I think he was really seeing how I delivered timely updates on the project. And that's something that just totally went over my head. Like I didn't realize during these sessions that he was gauging my ability to communicate. He was trying to see what is my understanding of the project, about its value. Because when you give updates on a project, I mean, how you present the information and also what information you convey or choose to highlight, it says a lot about you, your understanding of the project, and your understanding of business in general. So that was just sort of how my day-to-day was, right? And then also just the relationship I had with managers. I would sometimes be on calls with product managers, and we would do demonstrations. For example, if we, if we enhanced something or modified something, we would show stakeholders like what is the new behavior versus the old one, right? What is the improvement made? What is the ROI? Is it gonna, make faster loading times? Is it going to make it easier to, I guess, access more information from fewer or even a single interface? For example, I know one project I was on, employees were annoyed because getting into the main intranet site required, username and password, but then getting into HR's applications needed another username and password, and it wasn't the same, right? So we were trying to get some single sign-on solutions in place so that, employees can just use like some sort of, ID card or badge or what have you, and just be able to log into all the sites on the employee page rather than have separate logins for separate things. It was a headache. So, I know, and that we had to do a demonstration for that for stakeholders and show them that, hey, we have single sign-on solution and it'll save time, and this is how it behaves. This is what you need to do. We need to have laptops that have a card reader for everyone from now on. No more just username and password. And yeah, that's just, I guess, a very quick summary of my time as software developer. I kind of miss it a little bit. I wish I was better in software development. I wish I had those skills and I had chosen to polish them and kind of go down that path, because the people who stayed in software engineering, they stayed in it because they loved it, they were passionate about it, and I mean, the money follows, right? I will say this about software engineering. It's one of the fields where like you can do the work because you're passionate about it, but unlike teaching and social work or these other fields where they take advantage of your passion, like you can actually be compensated handsomely. I guess medicine actually would be another field where like you go into it because you're passionate and then you get paid a lot. I don't know. But yeah, that's something I often wonder about is like if I had kind of focused more on Objective-C or Java with Android and iOS applications, would I, or maybe Swift, I guess. I think they shifted away from Objective-C, but I sometimes wonder what it would have been like if I'd kind of stayed in software development. But for the most part, my sales skills, my empathy, my ability to communicate, to present, to negotiate, those made me a better fit for management on the sort of non-technical track. I don't know why I said tract, like I was talking about the GI tract or something. But I think I also do regret that I really don't remember a lot about software development. I don't remember a lot of the terms. I barely remember a lot of the languages. And I wish I could maybe give a better sort of day-to-day example. But, for the most part, I think I remember more about how I feel or the memories I made than the work itself. Like, I remember liking my manager. I remember liking my coworkers. And I remember just how much fun it was. I mean, you're building things, and there's no one beneath you to worry about, right? Maybe like the occasional intern who shadows you, but you don't have to worry about office politics so much, right? You might have a headache or you might have beef with some, employee, but like when you're an engineer, you're sort of insulated from that stuff in the back office. You're insulated from the nonsense. You don't have to think about marketing. You're just thinking about building it. Like the tickets come in, you work on them. You don't care how much money whatever you worked on is going to make the company. You don't care how much it's going to cost the company. You don't care how marketing is going to successfully market what you've made. You do the work as it comes to you. And I think if you're an anxious person or an antisocial person, development can be good because you have a small group of people you work with. There's not too much client exposure or, at least the things I worked on were actually, a lot of them were internal, right? So they were sort of employee-facing solutions, not things that were front-facing. So I think I enjoyed the work because I knew that it was sort of like low yield, high reward. So I would be rewarded a lot for my work, but then I knew that there weren't a lot of expectations, right? I'm working on like a lot of intranet sites or employee portals or applications and tools that they're using internally. So I'm not too worried because I know that those are different metrics or different requirements or expectations versus something that's going to be front facing, right? I mean, the website for a major company that conducts business online, that's going to be a lot more stressful than the kind of work that I did. So that's also why you'll see me talking a lot about internal sites, internal tools. That's, for the most part, where a lot of my experience was gained. So yeah, that is my summary about what I used to do as a software developer, or what I remember at least from my workflow.